Hi you guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the 3-bucket strategy for retirement. Now, why would we want to do that? Last week we talked about the 4% rule. 4% means we take about 4% of our retirement assets each year and we index it for inflation. But what about those years when the stock market goes down? We don't want to take from our stocks because we know we can lose some money. We're going to give you an answer to how to fix that coming up next on the Firefighter's Financial Toolbox. Hey you guys, welcome back. We're talking about the 3-bucket retirement strategy and how it can help us when stocks go down. Now, we have this looming threat of a recession coming. What if you were to retire into a down market? What if you were retired just when stocks were going down? The last thing you want to do is spend money out of your stock when they're down. If you leave them, they will recover. If you don't, you can lose a lot of money. So let's talk about the 3-bucket strategy. First of all, the way the 3-bucket strategy works is you have 3 buckets. The first bucket of money is for 1 to 2 years. That's going to be your money you live on in the short term. The third bucket can be from 3 to 7 or 3 to 10, depending on how you want to set it up. This is your intermediate term stuff. This is the money that's going to resupply bucket 1 or your living expenses if we have that down market. And your third bucket is your long-term growth bucket. That can be anywhere from 7 to 10 years and beyond, depending on how you set it up. This is the money that's going to help us refilling our living expenses and still growing and beating inflation. So let's talk about it. What are the advantages of the bucket strategy? Well, as I said, it's a way to organize your portfolio and account for your anticipated spending needs. You have your near-term or very, very safe assets that you're going to live on. You have your intermediate term. That's where you can take a little bit more risk, but you certainly aren't going to get the reward you will with the third bucket, which is our long-term spending needs. That's our stocks, our dividend stocks, our growth stocks. This is where we're going to make money in the long term. Now, one thing I will say is the bucket strategy will not allow for you to overspend your safe withdrawal rate. So if you know you've planned it with 4% or 3%, whatever you have, this is not going to make it so that you can overspend that safely. So let's talk about the virtues of it. It helps you ensure that A, you're going to have living expenses, safe living expenses in the short term. So 1 to 2, 1 to 3 years, right? It also enables you to take enough risk with your long-term stocks that you are going to keep up and exceed inflation. It also gives you a psychological advantage in that you know that you have money to live on now and in the short term, maybe 3 to 6, 7 years. So if we do have a down market, you know that you're not going to have to worry about it. You have the money now to ride out those hard times. It also kind of makes you not worry about the fact that we have such a poor yield on cash instruments right now. All right, you guys, let's go into how we decide what we need in each bucket. We see that we have our 3 buckets. We have bucket 1, bucket 2, bucket 3. Bucket 1 is 1 to 2 years. In this case, we have bucket 2 for 3 to 7 years. And bucket 3 is 7 years and beyond. Our first one is going to be cash or cash equivalents, you guys, safe investments. This is going to be online savings, maybe a short-term CD. This is what we're living on now. We're not going to make any money out of this. Second bucket is 3 to 7 years, and it's going to be bond funds, maybe a balanced fund. Maybe we have a ladder of 3 to 5 year CDs in there. We're not going to make great interest, but we're also not going to lose big. Our third bucket is our stock and our stock fund. Now, back to bucket 1. Bucket 1 is for safety. It's for the money we need to live now and maybe enough to cover a small emergency. Our second bucket is going to be moderate safety for the fact that if stocks do go down, we have a little bit to live on. It's also going to give us a little more for emergency and a little dry powder to buy if stocks are on sale. Now, as we said, bucket 3 is dividend stocks, growth stocks. It's our index funds, our mutual funds. This is our growth bucket. Now, this is where we're going to make our money. We know that bucket 1 is going to get no interest or very little. We know that bucket 2 may get, bonds are about 2 to 3%, so let's call it 2.5. We'll use that for the immediate if to restock bucket 1 if we have a down market. Meanwhile, bucket 3 is growing and we have dividends that average about 3%, right? Plus whatever appreciation we have on the stocks themselves, we can use to refill bucket 1 as well. On those years that they really appreciate, we may decide to take all from bucket 3. And on the years where it doesn't appreciate, of course, that's where we're going to go ahead and not spend from it and take money from our second bucket. We also can take big gains and use it to move from bucket 3 back to bucket 2. All right, you guys, now I want to say that this is not going to work perfectly all the time. At bucket 1, you may have your online savings, your checking account, any of the money that you're using to spend in the 1 to 2, 1 to 3 year range. Now, if you're conservative, maybe you have a higher percentage. Maybe you have 3 years in cash assets. That way you know you don't have to take anything in the short term in that period from any of your other accounts. You don't have to worry about it being down. Now, your second bucket, as I said, is going to be your bonds, maybe a CD ladder of CDs from 3 to 5 years. Maybe you have a balanced fund. Maybe you have Wellesley or something like that in there, where it's going to be a little bit of growth, but it's not as dangerous as stocks are in the short term. Your last bucket is going to be your money bucket. This is the money that's going to grow to keep you on track for retirement for 30 years. These are your growth assets, you guys. This is the bucket we only take from when it's up. If it's down, we let it ride. If you have dividend stocks like I do, you may, on a good year, maybe you decide you want to take the dividend portion of that stock and move that into your cash bucket. That's certainly okay. There is no set way to do it. The idea and the general overall beauty of this system is that you have cash and you have short-term assets so that you can cover yourself from digging into stocks when they're down. Never, ever sell your stocks while they are down. If you do that, you guarantee losses in the long run. All right, you guys, this was a quick down and dirty of the bucket strategy. If you have questions about it, or there's something you feel like I didn't cover in this, leave them in the comments. If you got something out of this and you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. I'm having a lot of fun with this. We're over 120 subscribers now. And as long as you guys keep watching, I'll keep making videos. All right, have a good day.